I don't like it. When you've turned my voice about, I don't like it. When you vote one nation out, my language has been murdered. My language has been murdered. My shopping trolley murdered. My groceries just gone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, racist, rubbish, racist, hate. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, racist, rubbish, racist, feel the heat.
I don't like it. I just liked the way she said that. It wasn't actually a known saying of hers, but to me it really epitomised the whinging that she had, the fact that she would complain about things and would never have solutions.
I don't like it. No, I don't. Never did. I don't like it. I don't like anything. I don't like it. No, I don't. Nowhere near. I don't like it. I don't like anything.
I was born in Sydney. I was actually born right next to King's Cross. I started playing in bands when I was 12 years old. I was into heavy metal music, Deep Purple, and then sort of going into more of a Jimi Hendrix vibe. Being gay in the 70s, 80s and 90s is of course extremely different to how it is now. I mean, homosexuality was illegal until I was 22 years old. Being gay or having gay sex was a bigger crime than heterosexual rape with a longer jail sentence.
We're going to be saying to God, look, forgive the homosexuals, forgive the people of Sydney who were involved with the blasphemous activity of the Mardi Gras, have mercy on our city.
I became very influenced by a lot of the arts activism that was forming around the world, particularly in New York, a group called ACT UP, another group called Grand Fury, who were appropriating things from the art world and from the media, and in a pre-internet time were producing their own media. I found it very deeply influential in the way of using art in a political way and sometimes even in an entertaining way. Things changed for me a little bit when I started working with a sampler. You know, I've been playing guitar and keyboards and percussion, and then I got a sampler and realised that you could put any sound into it and actually make music with it and listen to sounds in that way.
You're a homosexual? Good. That's a natural alternative to a morally unbalanced heterosexual society. We do have mentally unbalanced heterosexual society. We're trying to promote homosexual marriages, prostitute, lust, lesbians embracing, and thereby putting our society at risk. And it works.
The 90s was actually a time of more politicisation where, because we had AIDS really hitting in the early 90s in Sydney, that you had a choice to be politicised or to hide away, basically.
Homosexuals, that's their business, not mine.
How do you react to the gay Mardi Gras, which is really a celebration of homosexuality?
No, I don't like it. Because it's promoting something, okay, that is not natural.
I think I first came across Pauline Hanson in the news, like everybody else. So I saw her picture in the paper, I saw her on the television, but I first heard her voice with the broadcast of her parliamentary maiden speech on television, and I think that's the case for most of us. This extraordinary cry from somewhere of words that we'd never really expected to hear again. They seem to be words from a different time.
I believe we are in danger of being swamped by Asians. They have their own culture and religion, form ghettos and do not assimilate.
I had to learn new software for my teaching. I was a casual university teacher doing sound design, and we'd been using reel-to-reel 8-track tape recorders, and we just bought this new digital system called Pro Tools, which I'd helped other people use in sound studios before, but I'd never taught it. And I thought, I've got to give myself a project in order to learn this Pro Tools software. Pauline Hanson was there.
I'm a backdoor man. I'm very proud of it. I'm a backdoor man. I'm homosexual. I'm a backdoor man. Yes, I am. I'm very proud of it. I'm a backdoor man. I'm homosexual.
So my friend Tobin, who was Vanessa Wagner, he basically took the song into Triple J, and there was an immediate reaction of people ringing up and requesting it and wanting it to play it again, and more people ringing during the afternoon.
What I've called for is a homosexual government. Yes. Join us, be one of us. Come out, be one of us.
By that evening, it was the #1 request on the Triple J requests, and they'd always play their top 10 or whatever requests at that time. I suddenly thought, oh my God, I've got this hit. You know, I'm not playing something in my little sort of comfortable underground queer performance scene for my friends. Suddenly this is something which is hitting a mainstream audience.
No, I'm not human. Someone hit me on the head one day.
I was approached by I think 5 or 6 different major record companies who all wanted to release it, and then Pauline Hanson went to the Supreme Court.
Pauline Hanson was visibly upset in court as the song was played, her legal counsel declaring it a scurrilous, smutty little piece. Miss Hanson says she's delighted with the decision.
What the message is that freedom of speech does not extend by allowing people the right to defame others and to tell lies.
If people are hurt by satire, then they should get out of the political game and leave it to people who can actually justify their actions and their words and their policy.
I've been stopped by Pauline Hanson, you know. People have tried to stop me before. I'm not going to be stopped by Pauline Hanson. And so after a sort of a month or so of licking my wounds, I really thought, well, I'm just going to have to do another song.
I don't like it. When you've turned my voice about, I don't like it. When you've voted one nation out, my language has been murdered. My language has been murdered. My shopping trolley murdered. My groceries just gone.
I really planned at this time, you know. I spent, once again, months and months and months cutting up her voice. The idea was that it would be a song for adults and kids, and the adults would get the political allusions and the kids would get the slapstick and sort of sing along to it.
But I like dancing. No, I like the disco, because I left my heart in San Francisco. Yeah.
I left my heart
in San Francisco.
So if we go to Francisco here, we've actually got a fr from friendly, an and from plan, a s from inside, and then a stronger cis from the word basis, and a sco from the word disco to make up the word
Francisco.
You can see that actually if I pull the words apart. Fr from over here, that comes from
friendly.
Yeah, friendly. Plan. And then cis comes from the word basis.
Basis.
And then finally, sco comes from the word disco. And you put them all together and you get
Francisco.
It took about 5 hours to do individual little syllable and consonant time stretching and pitch shifting, just to make it, give it that nice sort of Pauline flow to it.
But I like dancing. No, I like the disco, because I left my heart in San Francisco. Yeah.
The idea was we released it on a Friday, put copies out to all of the radio stations everywhere, trucked them around the country, had them in the stores by Saturday afternoon. It was being played everywhere immediately, and by that stage Pauline Hanson would have had to have taken 300 separate legal actions in order to stop the song, which she couldn't.
No, the whole thing is wrong and it stinks and I don't like it.
And then after a couple of days I just sort of turned around to my manager and I said, what about I run for the Senate? I've got to change my name because you've got to get onto the ballot paper. You can't use an alias on the ballot paper. Trucked on down to the Office of Births, Deaths and Marriages down in the city. The woman behind the counter looked at it and she said, you can't use that. That's an obscene name. And I looked at her name label and her name was Jenny Bottom. And I started an argument with Jenny saying, well, your name is Bottom, and then if we take the pants down it exposes the bottom, so your name is more obscene than my name. And calling in, you know, I just went off and calling in managers and things like that and got the agreement. After I changed my name back again to Simon Hunt, it still has all previous names listed below on the birth certificate, so that's always a bit of a laugh every year or so when I need to use a birth certificate for anything.
Feel the heat on the street, dance to the beat, out of your feet. Feel the heat on the street, dance to the beat, out of your feet. I don't like it.
It was actually really enjoyable. I never really wondered about what I was doing because I felt that I wanted to actually have an effect on the political process, you know, and using comedy, using performance to do that. Well, it was like being the world's biggest 12-year-old. The whole experience of Pantsdown was like a fascinating way of manipulating media, as it was in 1998 anyway.
I'm the biggest, baddest man around. I got no harmony, got no sound, got no future. What's the past? I close my eyes, I'm the last.
In 2000 I did a cut-up of John Howard called I'm Sorry, and it was around the time of the mainstream growth of the reconciliation movement. There was a lot of talk and discussion in media around John Howard's refusal to apologise to the stolen generation at that time, and so I decided to make a piece about that. Technically it was a much more extreme cut-up than a lot of the others. I was really, you know, in I Don't Like It, I'd begun to create words, and in John Howard's case, it was really working from base syllables just to be able to put his mouth into any shape whatsoever and say anything.
I'm sorry. I'll never walk the catwalk. I'm sorry about my head, my nose, my ears, my eyes, my face. I've got to think more like a human being. My full apologies to the human race.
But apparently one of the DJs took a particular dislike to the way that I'd made fun of John Howard physically, and stood up in 2 consecutive meetings and said we shouldn't play this song. And so 2JJJ didn't play it, didn't do the crossover into mainstream media, never really got heard.
I offer my apologies to every member of the stolen generation. I'm sorry. It's very simple. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I don't like a puppet without strings. There's a muppet in the wings and it's saying racist.
What a joke.
I won't cop that. No way.
He was an absolute idiot ratbag.
I don't like anything.
I just felt like I wanted to put it straight in my resume. You know, on my Facebook page, I put it in I never had anything in the About section before. Now I've got an absolute idiot ratbag, Pauline Hanson, 2016. It was also the first time I've ever heard her speak about me. You know, I've seen what she's written about me before, but I'd never heard her speak about me. So it was very exciting, very exciting.
I don't like anything.
What I did back in 97, 98 was, it meant different things to different people. To some people I was just that drag queen who mimed to a song. They may have had no idea that I'd actually spent hundreds of hours intricately cutting up bits of words to give them a proper speech flow and things like that. To other people, they knew about the political activism I was doing at the time, but to a lot of people I'd just be the drag queen of the shopping trolley song. It always meant different things to different people, and that's what it means to be a figure in the media in that way, and to be understood and known on a lot of different levels.
I don't like it. No, I don't. Never did. I don't like it. I don't like anything. I don't like it. No, I don't. I don't care. I don't like it.